Alright, so we're going to make another video off the cuff. Today we're going to be talking about motivation versus discipline. And this is a topic a lot of people tend to, I think, overlook, or they say motivation is useless, but I disagree. I think motivation is incredibly useful to get started, but it's not what's going to get you to the end result. The end result is to have success in a specific area of life. And the only way you're going to have success is if you're disciplined. But a lot of people are not even going to take the first step towards what they want until they get a little bit of motivation, just like a little kickstart. Am I saying that you have to have a kickstart? No, but most people need that. I needed that. Everybody needs that a little bit. And then once you realize that you don't need it to keep going, it's just a nice thing to have, then you end up being more disciplined, especially once you start seeing results. And what I love about fitness is that you get results regardless of any external factors, meaning that if you do X, Y, Z, you get results, period. There are no moving parts that you don't control. So that's what I love about discipline as well. I used this analogy before, but motivation is like the initial push of a train. It'll get you going, but it won't get you to your destination. That requires discipline. Discipline is what keeps you going even when you don't want to keep going. But more importantly than that, which is crazy, there's one thing that's more important than discipline. And that is habit. Discipline is doing it through this grinding motion, which is necessary a lot of times. But what happens when you make it so much of a habit that you actually feel uncomfortable when you don't do it? For people who worked out for a long time and then you just stop for 2 or 3 days, you feel antsy, and uncomfortable, like you need to do something to kind of take the edge off. That's what we want when it comes to success. Is, for example, if you work in sales, you want to keep filling up your pipeline, keep filling up your leads, keep getting more and more and more and more leads. Because then what ends up happening is it starts to compound. And you start to get more and more calls, and then you start to make more and more sales. But if you don't fill that pipeline and you keep doing it for 2 days and then letting it die off, then doing it for 3 days, then letting it die off, then it's never going to have an ability to compound. For example, if one guy says I could do Tuesday, and you're like, okay, great, it's Monday, we'll talk tomorrow. And then he reschedules for Wednesday. Let's just say hypothetically. And then you talk to him on Wednesday. Now imagine that with 20 different people. Then your schedule starts to get full and full and full and fuller and fuller and fuller. And the next thing you know, you're making a bunch of money. That's how sales works. And that's the same way discipline works. It's you're compounding your ability to succeed. But I'll be honest with you, that doesn't guarantee success. Nothing guarantees success. But it increases your probability. And that's all life is. It's just a bunch of probabilities. What's the likelihood of X happening if I do Y? And if you get anything above 80%, you're good. Trust me, you're going to do significantly well in anything if you have an 80% chance of success. If you get to 90, even better. If you get to 95, even better. So when it comes to discipline, that's what you want to focus on primarily. But don't think that you don't need motivation ever. That's just not true. You need some motivation at some times. But more importantly than that, like I said, you need discipline. But more importantly than that, you need habits. So what I recommend is take advantage of this of motivation, because motivation will get you disciplined. And then once you get through that grind of doing it repeatedly, eventually it doesn't feel like you're grinding anymore. It just feels like a normal Monday, and you have to do what you have to do, which is the next, I guess, grade of getting to, which is habit. So there's motivation, discipline, habit. Motivation is level 1, so you're like a little beginner. If you constantly rely on motivation, you're a boy. Number 2 is discipline. Discipline is when you're a young adult, if you had to call it that. It's like high school. And then once you get to the habit portion, which is, let's just say, level 3, that's when like your, PhD, let's call it. Once you get to that level, everything starts to just kind of flow and you kind of have to do it. It's like a double-edged sword. It's like you don't really want to do it, but you have to do it to feel better. That's a good position to be in. I know it sucks because like you still don't want to do it. You would think that if you keep doing it, you're going to want to do it. But you will, the more success you have, but it's a lie to think that you're just going to want to do it all the time. It's just not true. They say once you find what you love, you never work a day in your life. And that's something billionaires say, okay? You're not a billionaire, and I'm not a billionaire. That's not true. Every day feels like work. Then you get these little glimpses of happiness and joy. It might come every 6 months, once every 6 months. It's just not true. Like, I can tell you that I can probably count on I was about to say 4 hands. I can probably count on one hand the amount of times that I've been happy in my life. And contrary to popular belief, happiness is not the most important thing in life. Grow up. You need to grow up. Seriously. Leave that to children. Leave that even to some women. But for men, that's not our life. Our life, we find the most enjoyment and fulfillment in taking care of our families and taking care of our loved ones. That's what's actually going to make us most fulfilled. And then that's when we're going to experience glimpses of happiness. What you want more than anything is progress. If you can consistently see progress, then it's no longer a matter of if you're going to get to your goals. It's just a matter of when. And this is why I love numbers so much. Because numbers is the universal language. It doesn't matter what language you speak. Everyone knows numbers. If I write on a piece of paper, 1 + 1 = 2, I can bring that to any part of the world and show it to them and they'll understand what I mean. That's why I love numbers. And numbers don't lie to you. Numbers are not subjective, they're objective. So you can see on a piece of paper, okay, if I make 100, if I talk to 100 people, I'm closing 30. If I talk to, 30% close rate, that's mine at least. But that's just a sales component. But it can be applied to any area of life. For example, when I got my first personal training job, I called 300 different gyms. I filled out 300 applications. Out of those 300 applications, I got about, I'd say 15 to 20 different job applications that accepted me and wanted to talk to me. Out of those 15, about 10 of them didn't really, didn't follow through. We didn't end up working together. And then the last 5 is the ones that I pushed and drilled. But then there was one that I really wanted to work for, which is a New York Sports Club. So what I did was I called every single day at 4 p.m. sharp for 2 whole weeks, every day, to the point where they picked up the phone and knew it was me. And that's how I got my job. That's why I love numbers, is because it won't lie to you. You know exactly what you have to do. So those are your numbers. So if you like this type of video, guys, let me know. Comment down below anything that you want to add to the conversation. If you're interested in improving your discipline and not have to rely on motivation so much, click the first link down below and join our school. The first 50 are completely free. Then after that, we're going to start charging. Other than that, I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.